Hello everyone and welcome back to our latest explainer. I'm incredibly excited to guide you through today's topic because, honestly, we're looking at a story that's as old as time itself, yet it's completely relevant to every single one of us today. We're exploring a classic fable translated from original Marathi texts, a story I like to call The Golden Burden of Greed. It's this slightly somber, deeply intriguing look into the raw mechanics of human nature, desire, and that exact fragile moment when ambition crosses the line into self-destruction. So get comfortable because the lessons packed into this explainer are absolutely powerful.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to imagine absolute rock bottom, surviving on water, completely fed up with life. Our story opens with a man who literally has nothing. He isn't just poor, he's entirely devoid of hope. You know, when you're at a point where a cup of water is your only dinner, the psychological toll is just immense. This immediate, desperate reality creates our starting line. This man is utterly exhausted by his own existence, and he's looking for literally any possible way out of the darkness.
Act 1. The Beggar's Story. His daily routine was grim, to say the least. He begged every single day in the village, eating whatever tiny scraps he could manage to find. When the village had absolutely nothing to offer, he survived on just water. And crucially, he grew utterly tired of this miserable existence. He wasn't just physically starving, he was spiritually starved. And it's exactly this absolute destitution that primes him for the miraculous and, well, highly dangerous opportunity that's about to present itself.
Act 2. Indra's Condition and Blessing.
Just when he has absolutely nothing left to lose, a mystical intervention happens. Someone in the village actually takes pity on him and offers a precise formula for salvation. It goes like this. Go to the river outside the village. Worship Lord Indra, the deity of the heavens, and in return, Indra will be pleased and grant him wealth. It's a beautifully simple call to action, right? And because the beggar is just so desperate, he follows these instructions flawlessly. He goes to the river, he offers his worship, and remarkably, the deity actually appears before him, ready to change his life forever.
Now, what's really interesting here is the incredible psychological weight of the deity's condition. Lord Indra doesn't just hand him a chest of gold and say goodbye. No, he gives him an ultimatum. He says, hold out your bag, I will drop money in. When you say stop, I will stop. But remember, if your bag tears and the money falls, it will turn to dust. I mean, feel the tension in that condition. It's a literal ticking time bomb. The beggar is being handed infinite wealth, but it's entirely bottlenecked by the physical limits of a frail old beggar's bag. The ultimate test here isn't about getting the money at all, it's about knowing when you have enough.
Act 3. Contentment and a New Life.
The stakes are sky high, the coins are dropping, and the beggar is holding a bag that's getting heavier by the second. So the crucial point is how he reacts to this overwhelming temptation. Well, he took only what the bag could safely hold. He looked at the stretching fabric, he felt the immense weight of the coins, and he made the most difficult choice a starving man can possibly make. He said stop. This represents just incredible wisdom and restraint. He didn't let the blinding shine of the coins distract him from the physical reality of his fragile bag. Passing this test of self-control was his true victory.
And just look at the direct, tangible rewards of that measured approach. Because he actually had the discipline to say stop, he felt true, lasting happiness with what he received. He returned to the village, no longer a starving outcast. He bought good clothes, restoring his dignity. And finally, he built a brand new house, creating a stable foundation for the rest of his life. His ability to recognize his limits directly transformed his existence from absolute misery to profound stability.
Act 4. The Greed for Money and Destruction.
But, human nature is incredibly complex, and not everyone possesses that kind of restraint. Success always attracts attention, doesn't it? Another man in the village sees the former beggar's new house and clothes and asks the inevitable question, how did you suddenly become so rich? Now, our former beggar is an honest guy, so he transparently shares his entire story. He explains the river, the worship of Indra, the magic bag, the whole shebang. But by sharing this, he unknowingly sparks a very dangerous, uncontrollable fire of greed in the listener's mind. The second man decides he wants in on this divine ATM.
And this brilliantly illustrates a stark psychological contrast between the two men, despite them facing the exact same divine opportunity. On one hand, we have the first beggar, marked by contentment, knowing his limits, and possessing the power to say stop. But on the other hand, we see the second man's mindset, driven by insatiable hunger, limitless greed, and ultimately a tragic forgetfulness. The second man goes to the river, worships Indra, and the coins start falling. But his mind is entirely different.
The situation accelerates rapidly. Blinded by greed, he just kept asking for more. The coins are pouring in, the bag is stretching, the seams are popping, but this second man isn't looking at the bag at all. He's entirely fixated on the growing pile of wealth. He wants more and more and more. The divine warning about the tearing bag has completely vanished from his mind, replaced only by the intoxicating thrill of endless accumulation.
And then the inevitable happens, the breaking point. The bag tore from the immense weight. All the money, that massive fortune he was just staring at, instantly turned to dust right before his eyes. Lord Indra vanished completely, and the man was left with absolutely nothing but tears. In a matter of seconds, his unchecked greed led to total, devastating collapse. He pushed past the physical boundaries of his reality, and the penalty was absolute ruin.
Act 5. The takeaway. Never be greedy.
Let's slow things back down for a second. We've seen the triumph of contentment and the absolute destruction caused by insatiation. I really want to define what we're talking about here. Greed is an intense and selfish desire for something, often wealth, that blinds a person to their actual needs and the breaking points of their reality. That second part is what makes this ancient fable so brilliant. The second man wasn't just wanting more money. He was blinded to the breaking point of his own bag. Greed removes our ability to objectively assess the structural integrity of our lives, our health, our relationships, and our personal boundaries.
Which leaves us with this final, deeply personal question to ponder. Do we know when our own bag of greed will tear? Every single one of us is holding a bag, whether it represents our time, our energy, our ambition, or our pursuit of wealth. The universe might be pouring opportunities into it, but if we don't have the self-awareness and the courage to look at the fraying seams and firmly say stop, we risk watching everything we've gathered turn to dust. Think about where you might need to say stop in your own life today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.